Are you afraid of darkness? If so, then that would be very unfortunate. But if it helps, darkness is harmless. Unless you are a fictional character. Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to my show. It's the show where I talk about, discuss and rate superpowers and their users. As for today, I will be talking about Yami from Black Clover and his ability or magic, dark magic. So who's Yami? Yami is a mage and also is the captain of a magic knight squad called the Black Bulls from the Clover Kingdom. And if you didn't get what I said, don't worry, I got you. So Black Clover is an action fantasy based anime and its events kick off in Clover Kingdom. In the show, almost everyone is born with magic and magic abilities, and when they are 15 years old, everyone gets their own grimoire, a book that will allow them to become much stronger. And when that happens, they get the opportunity to become magic knights by taking the annual exam. However, only a few make it, and those few that become magic knights, they get divided into squads, or to be more specific, 9 different squads. Each squad has its own captain, and all the captains follow the orders of the Wizard King. So since we are talking about him, Yami is a captain that makes him the second highest rank, tied up with 9 different captains. So that should give you an insight on the show. As for Yami's dark magic, it's a very versatile magic that's mostly used in combat, and it also have a lot of unique properties that are worth talking about. And to be clear, this video will include spoilers from all the way up to the anime, which is until episode 170. And it will not include anything from the manga. Okay, let's go. So let's start this off by talking about Yami. So who's Yami? Yami's story starts off with a boy that was born in Hinu country, and he lived his early life there, living a very simple life. One day he decided to go out fishing, and he got caught up in a storm and washed ashore in Clover Kingdom. Being very young at the time and also a stranger to the country, he got treated badly and also was discriminated against. At some point, Yami met up with the now Wizard King Julius, who was interested in his dark magic. They eventually became friends, and Julius let Yami join his squad at the time. As time went on, Yami became stronger and he also climbed up the ranks, until at some point he got promoted into becoming a captain. But for Yami, he was a little bit different because he started his own squad from zero, not taking over another squad, and that was the beginning of his squad, the Black Bulls. As to how Yami recruits, it's a little bit weird, as he, unlike the others, does not recruit through the annual test only. He just picks up people from the street sometimes, which eventually made the relationship between the captain and the squad members much better, as he always encourages them to surpass their limits. As for his relationship with the Wizard King, his fellow captains and the Clover Kingdom, he seemed to be very loyal to all of them. And since we are talking about Yami, we'll have to talk about Ki and Ki sensing. You see, Yami picked up this unique ability from Hino country, which is sensing Ki. Ki basically is the natural energy in nature or in objects and people that move, and he can sense that energy, which ended up helping him in battle and also in predicting his enemy's movements. And finally, his personality. It's so hard to describe, but let's take the important things out of it. Yami is always motivated to surpass his own limits, and also his combat intelligence is very high. And now I will be talking about Yami's dark magic, which I will divide into 3 different parts: dark magic and its properties, the dark magic spells, and finally Yami's fights and anything unique happened during them. Okay, let's start off with dark magic. Dark magic generates darkness for both attack and defense. And when talking advantages, dark magic have an advantage over some elements, but at the same time it still did not have a disadvantage against any element. And I say still because the show is still running. However, dark magic have a weakness of it being slow. However, that is very debatable. Okay, now let's talk about the dark magic unique properties. 1. Dark magic have the ability to draw in and absorb other kinds of magic, although that is only a few spells, but that seems to be a property with a lot of its spells. The way it works is that elements that are weak to darkness are drawn in and absorbed very easily. However, for other elements, it seems like as it does not care about the element, more like it cares about how big the spell is. 2. Some dark magic spells can for some reason cut through space, which is odd. We'll talk about that more when we talk about the spell. And finally, it can interfere with other worlds, and we'll know more about that when we talk about Yami's fights. And also, it's very important to note that so far Yami is the only one with dark magic, so we do not know if other dark magic will have the same properties. However, we will use Yami as the base for now. And now let's talk about Yami's spells. Let's start off simple with that one, and let's start with Dark Restraints. This ability is used to restrain enemies that have already been defeated. Next up is the Dark Cloaked, Lightly Slash and Wild Slashes. This ability is fairly simple. It's Yami sending out dark magic in a form of a slash. Also, this magic has the ability of drawing in magic and absorb it, but it is much less effective than some other spells. Next up is Dark Cloaked, Lightless, Blunt Strike and Dark Blade Blunt Sweep. Those two attacks are mostly used for safety, like a safety knockout, or for strategic maneuvers, aka moving people out of the way. Next up is Black Blade. This ability covers Yami's sword in dark magic. It can also replace a broken blade and also can extend the range of the blade and also make it stronger. Dark Cocoon is a spell that makes a ball of darkness that will protect Yami from incoming attacks, and it can also move. Now it's time to talk about the more advanced things, and let's start this one off with Dark Magic Black Hole. This is Yami's main ability that draws in and absorbs magic, and this one can work almost in any magic as long as the spell is small enough for it to be absorbed. It is very interesting because it gives Yami almost an advantage over most people. And next up is Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. This moves allow Yami to cut through space and spatial magic as well, which potentially also makes it able to cut through almost anything, in my opinion. And I might actually be wrong, but I think that is the case, and for some reason it does not follow the trend of dark magic being slow. For now, let's take a quick break and talk about Mana Zone, as we will need it as we go on. You see, Black Clover is a world of magic, so there is mana almost everywhere, and Mana Zone is a control ability that allows the user to control their surroundings and using floating mana for their advantage, from things like increasing an individual's strength, defense and speed, to making spells much stronger and even a better mana sensing skill. And going from now, all the following spells are going to be using Mana Zone, starting off with the Dimension Slash Equinox, an upgraded version of the Dimension Slash, which gives it more strength and most importantly more range. And the most interesting spell here in my opinion is Black Moon. So Black Moon is an upgraded version of Black Hole, and it allows Yami to control his surroundings, meaning he can absorb all the spells that are inside his range, meaning Yami can control whether he absorbs any spells within his range or not, so he have the ability to let spells go through as well. Next up is Dark Magic Death Thrust. For this spell, Yami uses the Black Moon, condense it and shoot it at people, and for some reason it causes a physical damage. And this spell also resembles Dimension Slash quite a lot, which looks like that Death Thrust absorb the target instead of only cutting through it or hit it, which begs the question, is the Dimension Slash the same as Black Hole but just a cut? Who knows? And finally, Dark Cloaked Lay Slash. This spell uses the area created by Black Moon. Yami enhances his sensing skills to the point where if anything enters the Black Moon range, he can react and strike it immediately. In my opinion, for starters, Dark Magic looked like it's gonna be very perfect for defense, but seems like Yami uses it in a very different way and is very effective. That just shows how versatile this magic is, which means it can be used for both attack and defense at the same time. Next up, let's talk about Yami's fight and all the unique aspects in them. Starting off with Yami versus Leashed or Battery. I hope I'm saying this name right. This fight is perfect for Yami simply because light magic is weak against dark magic, and it does show. It does show that small attacks like the lightless slashes do affect and absorb light magic completely. And one very odd thing is that Yami's Black Hole does corrupt light magic for some reason. Next up is Yami, Jack and Phenol versus Langris's Elf. This magic just shows how different the Dimension Slash is from the rest of dark magic, because we can see that most dark magic spells do not affect spatial magic at all, unlike Dimension Slash, which can cut through spatial magic very easily. Next up is the Clover Kingdom versus the Devil Zagred. This is where I talk about Yami's dark magic affecting other worlds. You see, Zagred is a devil and he comes from a very different world, and he stated that humans' magic typically does not affect devils at all. However, Yami's dark magic is very effective against him, to the point where Zagred does not only avoid Yami's strong spells but only his normal ones. And it's also been shown that dark magic is very important for devils at some point, though it's still not clear if Yami's dark magic can finish off a demon or just injure them. Next up is the Black Bulls versus Dante. The thing about this fight is that we see how effective spells like Black Moon against spells and such, but we also see something very interesting, and also we learn something very interesting about dark magic. Let's start off with Dante's Devil Gravity magic for some reason can affect Yami's Dimension Slash, which is very weird. For some reason, Yami can bend dark magic and move it out of his way. And we also learn why dark magic affects other worlds, as well as seems like Yami's dark magic can open a gate to another world with the help of some other magic. None of this stuff has thoroughly been explained in the anime, so I will avoid it for now. Since we discussed, understood and learned about Yami's magic, it's time to rate it. I want to start off by saying that dark magic is actually very crazy if you think about it, but also I'm thinking that maybe Yami got a stronger version of the normal dark magic, but as I have already said, we don't have any other examples, so we will go off at that. In my opinion, dark magic gets an easy A with a very high potential to grow eventually, only because that Yami is driving that power and he's very skilled at it, which, talking about Yami as an individual, he is very capable on his own, and he makes the stronger half of the whole character, I guess, more stronger than his own magic. So I would rate Yami as an easy A+, which we all know that he is gonna surpass eventually. And after all, the combination of Yami and dark magic is just perfect at this point, that it is actually very amazing. And I think there will be a lot more about it just to see and potentially to be impressed about. And that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe and like if you like the video. Thanks.